What's going on, guys, and welcome back. I had a lot of good feedback that you guys liked this orientation of the video better, so we're going to go over my chart after my 20 matches of testing. Then we'll talk about each matchup and break it down, well, popular matchups, not necessarily the matchups on the screen right now. And then lastly, I'll go over the deck list card by card. Link down below. If you don't care about hearing my reasoning on the cards, you can just click that link, go to Dreamboard, and try out the deck for yourself. So green, steel, discard, is it still viable? Where is it at? Well, overall, as far as performance, it's teetering going into tier 2. It's right on the back end of tier 1, falling down towards tier 2. I think this deck needs to get figured out. Once again, if you remember last format, this deck saw almost zero play up until September started rolling around. And then all of a sudden it skyrocketed, and from the end of September through the end of the format, this was the #1 deck of the format. So I think it's not saying it's going to be the best deck again. I just think it's in that period, that break-in period. It's a new format. People are trying new decks, and this deck hasn't quite been mastered yet. But once again, people are going to figure it out, and I think this deck is going to solidify itself. And unfortunately, discard is going to rear its ugly head again and come back around. I'm actually playing a purple-green discard at locals today, so I'll update you guys on how that goes, and maybe we'll do our 20-match testing with it. And for those who don't know, when I test these decks, I know I put out these videos, 70%, 80%, 75% win rate. I never lose. I'm great. No, I'm just not going to show you guys a video where I win 50% of my decks or my games. You know what I'm going to do with that? I'm going to take that video, take all that information, throw it away, and start over with a new list and make changes. And I will bring you guys deck lists where I hit 70% or higher. It's a small sample. That does not mean you're going to hit 70%. It doesn't mean I would hit 70% if I go do 20 more matches. I just want to have a list that's at least tested and proven to be able to compete. All the rambling aside, 5,500 subscriber. We're so close to 5,000 subscribers now. I'm going to come up with a giveaway for that too. I just don't know exactly what yet. So we're going to do a 5,000 subscriber giveaway, but we have a case giveaway at 5,500 subscribers. So make sure you hit that button and come back to watch videos. I appreciate it. Anyway, we played Ruby Amethyst Control 8 times. I ended up winning 5 out of the 8. I was on the play for 4 of them, I believe, I want to say. I don't think this match is favorable. I think Ruby Amethyst actually has the slightly better matchup here, especially with Genie being a huge part of that, and then also Elsa being in the format so much, the 5-cost rush. Those 2 cards just really cause issues for you. I swear, I never cough all day long until I start talking and doing a video. Purple Steel, we went 1-1 versus Purple Steel we went 2-2 against. Again, I don't think that this matchup is super favorable. I think that it's slightly unfavorable. Not saying it's unwinnable, I just think it's slightly unfavorable. Amethyst Emerald, I was 2-0 against. This matchup I'm pretty okay with and comfortable with. Steel Song 1-1. I think this is a toss-up matchup, maybe slightly in your favor. But again, it's a toss-up. Do they hit that whole new world? Like, it can throw your whole discard strategy right out the window. Popsicle 2-0. I think this is a very favorable matchup for you. Blue Steel, I think this is a slightly favorable matchup. We were 1-0. Blurple 1-0. Again, I think you're favored into the Blurple matchup as well. Matches on the play, I had 11 of them. I went 8-3 on the play, 6-3 when I was on the draw. And our game percentage, I was 16-6, so really close to 75%, a little low, probably like 70-ish, without actually doing the math. 70-ish% winning on the play in my games, and on the draw I was 17-11, so close to that 60% mark. If we won one, lost one, so that'd be what, 50, which would bring it down, so probably like 61%, 62% if I had to guess on the draw as far as games went. So how about some matchups then, right? Let's go ahead and talk Popsicle. I said this is a favorable matchup, and why is it favorable? Despite their ramp, they try to get to that end game. If you can discard them faster than they get to that end game, they have a lot of uninkables. They try to ramp early. They don't have a ton of character presence, meaning your Ursula is usually safe to multi-discard them. In the event, like with Hiram, you also Strength of the Raging Fire, that a lot of time if you have 3 characters, you double sing it with Ursula. You can kill that Hiram very fast. You can have Hidden Cove is going to be another key card here, because if you move your Diablo, your Ursula to your Cove, it means they are protected from Brawl. If they have the ice block, though, they can still get them because then they can take that one away. But Hidden Cove does offer that little nice benefit as well here. This is a matchup where I do go heavy into the discard, and I think it's a pretty favorable one overall. Steel Song. This is when I actually lean away from discard a little, because if you're heavy into the discard and just a well-drawn Whole New World, the top deck Whole New World can completely change the game, because now all of a sudden they have a whole hand and they're right back in it. And that strategy, not saying don't make them discard, I'm just saying it can be kind of awkward. Ursula hitting those Whole New Worlds is huge. Pete preventing that Whole New World while you make them discard with your other cards, also going to be a very effective way. If you're going to go for the discard route, again, snipe the Whole New Worlds. I don't care about the damage songs. You have to get those Whole New Worlds out. You eat the damage cards, because if you can just trade with them back and forth and get the Whole New Worlds gone, that's your best route if you're going to play the discard strategy. Otherwise, your Storm Rage on, your Strength of the Raging Fires. If you can control the board state, get rid of potential Cinderella shift lines, get rid of like the aerial, their singers, get rid of this, make them hard cast their songs, don't let them get the free advantage off their singers. So playing the board control aspect more than the discard, I actually think is what will help you into the Steel Song matchup. And then that brings us on to the next one, Ruby Amethyst. I said I don't think that this is super favorable. If once again, Hidden Cove, that brawl protection, because they don't have ice block. So Hidden Cove, very big here, protects your Diablo, protects your Ursula, makes their brawl useless. Shift Sisu's not going to be very effective then either. Getting to Basil. If you can get to Basil, which means like Morph 2 can be strong. If you can get to Basil and all of a sudden just make them start discarding each turn when you ink, in addition to your other cards, your Sudden Chills, things like that. So if you can make them discard heavy, this is a good way to win the matchup. I just think that once again, they have Genie now, and Elsa was already seeing play, but now it's almost a 4 of auto include between Genie and Elsa and Brawl. There's a lot of things that this deck can do to counter your strategy. Really, even if you go for the board control aspect, like those cards, Brawl still hits your Ursula. Like they have a lot of ways to really deal with you. So I do think it's unfavorable. But if you can hit your discard good and control it, especially on the play, like I said, your your Basil is going to be big. Overall, I really like this card, by the way. Overall, I think it's a slightly unfavorable matchup, so don't feel bad if you're losing more than you're winning against it. Purple Steel. Like I said, ever so very slightly unfavorable maybe, but this is one too where I prioritize Ursula and the board control, double singing your Strength, double singing your Storm. These are ways that you're going to be able to deal with this opponent much better. The discard route, when it's there, they'll pluck away at it just to keep their resources down, but they have so much card draw. They have cards like, once again, Genie and Elsa. It's going to be a common theme so your Diablo line isn't going to be ideal. I don't like shifting Diablo in this matchup either, because they play so many answers for it. And they a lot of time will mulligan hard too. And if they have like Fire the Cannons, that's a very common card in the deck. Very common turn 2 comeback to play a second 1-drop, play Fire the Cannons. So if you're shifting Diablo, I'd be very leery on shifting Diablo. You might get just that 1 draw to replace the card you discarded. Otherwise, you're losing a lot of advantage. Definitely, you know. I mean, I guess Little Diablo lets you see their hand. So if they top deck it, they top deck it. Just be smart about that. Like, your Little Diablo gives you that hand knowledge. Try to remember everything they have. Try to see, is shifting Diablo going to actually help me here, or are they just going to clear it next turn and then try to bait it out? Bait that Fire the Cannons out before you drop your Diablo. Or I guess shift Diablo, go neg, and draw your 1 card to force it and kind of dictate their turn that way if you have a better comeback on, say, turn 2. One thing you could potentially do, though, I guess, I had a match where I had 2 Sudden Chills, and actually I had 3. I discarded 1 to shift Diablo, and then I sang Sudden Chill with Diablo, made them discard a card, played a Sudden Chill, made them discard a card. Then when they draw, I draw, they fired the cannons, gets rid of the Diablo, but at the same time, I still made them discard 2 and drew 1 in the process, so it wasn't the worst advantage trade-off. Just shifting Diablo can be really weird into steel decks, but Diablo giving you that hand knowledge just seems like they always draw that card when they need to then. In the discard mirror match. So these are all about card advantage, right? So I know I don't have Prince John up here, but like Prince John is going to be a potential key card here. Tragic Hero Beast, like cards that draw you the cards. The Diablo, can you get Diablo to stick before your opponent? And on the reverse of that, Ursula and your Strength and your Storms, can you control your opponent's board? It's less about making your opponent discard. It's who can get their draw engines live and who can control the board state. Usually this will be the player on the play, unless they just had horrible luck on their draw and mulligan. But the mirror match can be very intricate, and if you, like I said, trying to get to 5 ink, getting to 5 ink is big just so you can play most of your characters right off the drop. Otherwise, I try to control the board state priority 1 and my hand size 2. Discarding them is my third aspect that I focus on. Don't go trying to discard them hard right away, because then all of a sudden if you can get into weird spots where you pull ahead but then they just come storming back and they're just in a much better game state than you are. Versus the aggressive matchups, we said it a few times already, it doesn't feel like we're playing discard when it's plan B or C usually. Plan A being that board control presence. Ursula double singing songs is going to help you clear the board quickly, get rid of bodyguards so you can attack the lesser characters. Your Tinkerbell, obviously being able to shift it on 4 if you hit a morph, going to be very good, because not only does she do 1 across the board, as she takes out other characters, being able to ping that 2 somewhere else. So being able to go for these types of strategies. I'm going to move myself on to the other side, and then we will go over the deck list. So here we go. Deck information. What cards are we playing? Why? How many? And all that good stuff. The deck comes in at about $327. 14 uninkable cards. On turn 1 characters, not a whole lot changed this format. Up here you can see it. We got the 4 Diablos, 4 Morphs, 4 Ursulas, and 4 Diablos. I really like Morph right now, like I said, because I really like the Basil, and I really like Tinkerbell. Morph obviously giving you those shift lines on turn 4. Very nice and effective. I actually like to shift Basil like on 5, so then you can get the discard off right away. But I mean, if you have no other play, shifting him on 4 isn't going to hurt neither, because then you still get the discard on 5 and you get to play other cards in the process. Ursula, obviously hand knowledge between Diablo and Ursula are going to be very important. Discarding songs, especially Whole New World, especially when they're going for taking out your cards, hitting them. If you hit How Far I'll Go, if you can cut off a consistency / ramp card, that's going to be good too. Obviously be prep when you're getting later into a game. Diablo, pretty standard. One of your draw engines. Prince John, another draw engine. Each time you discard, or they discard, you draw a card. Works really nice with Hypnotize, because now they discard a card, you draw 2 cards. Ursula, only 3 Ursulas. Just trying to make room for other cards. I'm like, I feel like this is probably one of the most droppable cards. I don't want to go less than 3, but I think at 3 it's perfectly fine. Prince John and Diablo, a lot of the time, despite everything we've been saying, can often be more important on 3. You could argue play 3 Prince John and 4 Ursula, and I'm 100% okay with that. If you want to go 3 John, 4 Ursula, that's absolutely something you can do. That is something I was considering and not necessarily opposed to going back to. 3-peat, I feel like, is perfect. Everyone likes a 3-peat, right? Unless you're the NFL. It's never happened. Basketball, though. Muses, just the 2 muses. We're cutting down a little bit. Bouncing the characters can be really nice. Overall, it's just one of those lines that you don't really need her, but sometimes it's nice to play a card, being able to bounce theirs, and then force them to discard it as a niche way to out something. Beast's really important. Card advantage. It's actually a good time to buy it, being $32 price point. Basil, this card has been insane. I really like it. Do I want to play 4? Not necessarily, because usually you can see it in time before, and you don't really need to see it earlier. It usually ends up as ink. Tinkerbell, Really liking Tinkerbell right now as well. I actually just got 2 of these on Whatnot for $8, so that worked out pretty good in my favor. I got 4 of the new Genie too for 30. Almost got 8 for 60, but I let someone else have some of them. And we got the new Baymax promo from the EU Championship, so that was pretty cool. Hypnotize. 4 hypnotizes. We're playing discarded, discards, and draws a card, so that's obviously going to be good. We got our 12 songs that Ursula can double sing. Discard and then our damage route. Pretty standard there. Along came Zeus. I think this card is pretty much mandatory right now because of things like Genie being so dominant in the format. In addition, it just clears out a lot of threats, even like Maui Half Shark. But like I said, Genie is a huge reason that I think Zeus is just mandatory. 3, we don't care about Bruno's, cutting it down from the 4. Some people did it last format. 4 is more common, but making room for the Basil really is one reason we did that. So 3, we don't talk about Bruno's, and then the 2 hidden coves, just like last format. So not a whole lot changes. Again, we add in the Basil. We add in Zeus's, which definitely weren't mandatory last format. Otherwise, the list really doesn't change a ton from last format. I just think the way you approach matchups has to be slightly different. And the deck can definitely see success. I think that it's still a very solid deck. And once again, I think that the deck is going to see more success as the format goes on. Let me know what changes you would make down below. Thank you guys for watching. Again, don't forget those giveaways. I'll come up with something for 5K, but we have the case giveaway at 5,500. And 3, 2, 1, let's go. Thank you guys for watching. Until next time, take care.